man. Chat, dude. What's up, No Limit Gang, man? You know, we back with another banger reaction, shorty, man. We got some crazy murders caught on camera, shorty. That's what we could be watching, some crazy murders caught on camera, fam. Damn. Go flying in my throat. Pause. Pause. But, yeah, pause. But, yeah, we got some cracking video right here. Stay tuned, because we about to have some flooded videos tonight. You know that.
While celebrating a birthday party in the town of Cedra in Puerto Rico, every man you see on camera, including one that you can't see, will be dead just seconds after this frame of the video. In one of the most gruesome organized gang hits to ever take place on American soil since the St. Valentine's Day massacre, where mobsters in Chicago disguised as police lined up 7 men against a wall and executed them. And just a reminder to all the young guys, every single one of these men was armed, and 2 of them even got a chance to shoot back. But when you outmatched, it doesn't matter what kind of gun you have or how many bullets.
I ain't gonna lie. He wrong on that one though. It don't matter what kind of gun you got. If you got a switchy, everybody messed up. Even you though. You ain't never seen a switchy. But they in Puerto Rico, so I know they ain't got them boxes on that joint. And if they do got a box on that chop in Puerto Rico, chat, lock them up, shorty.
But when you outmatched, it doesn't matter what kind of gun you have or how many bullets, especially when your enemy has the ups on you. And to truly show the brutality, the hitman parked the car down the street, walked up to the scene, and stood over every single one of them. Meet El Burro. And
he stayed over. Oh, it had to be a good amount of money he went for. Chat, you know it was a good amount of money he went for, because he went to go finish everybody.
his crime syndicate. From the worst crime scenes I've ever seen publicly available on the news between El Burro's gang and Los Viaros, to one of the most popular rappers in Puerto Rico, C. Dobleta, along with a corrupt police officer being allegedly involved in the murder of another officer as part of a cartel alliance known as La Familia, as well as his association with another popular Puerto Rican artist who is a member of the Los Diablos de Llorens Torres, or the Devils of Llorens.
He said the Los Diablos. The Devils is crazy. They drawing. Let's start there.
Artist who is a member of the Los Diablos de Llorens Torres, or the Devils of Llorens, a housing project in San Juan. Welcome to the murder capital of the United States. When watching the news in Puerto Rico, despite it being a U.S. territory, I was surprised to find that the news in Puerto Rico is not censored at all compared to in the mainland. When watching the coverage of a double homicide in Calle, I was not expecting to see 2 unblurred bodies lying in the background while the
Yo, what's up with Puerto Rico? Why are they showing the full video and the full footage of what happened? Yo, some people can't see stuff like that. Some people stomach be weak, shorty. And for you not to blur it is crazy. Some people they get traumatized for seeing something like that. That's insane. I ain't gonna lie, Puerto Rico drawing with that one. Let's start there.
The police were surveying the crime scene, something I obviously can't show you here. But this scene was a result of a major conflict involving a man the FBI considered the most wanted fugitive in Puerto Rico, El Burro. And one of the most cold-blooded things about that first scene is that it took place outside of a bar called La Lomita, with a statue of Jesus Christ overlooking. This is not just any regular crime. What we're about to go over is pure evil. Now, El Burro's organization was also responsible for this first scene, but that's far from the worst crime attributed to him. Now, he was considered to be the head of a drug trafficking organization known as La Lorenzana. They seem to be very active.
That wasn't that much money right there. See, I thought the money they was gonna show was gonna be like some hundreds, some 50s. But they gonna spread the ones out on the table. They gonna spread the 5s out on the table like they got him a big bus, bro. They got a couple dubs on that joint. They got him a big bus, shorty. Yo, they drawing.
For this first scene, but that's far from the worst crime attributed to him. Now, he was considered to be the head of a drug trafficking organization known as La Lorenzana. They seem to be very active around the neighboring municipalities of Salinas and Calle, as the double murder of the Los Viaros members took place near a strip of restaurants in Calle, and the next hit I want to cover took place at a restaurant called Los Antonitos in the Playa neighborhood of Salinas. A 33-year-old man named Rafael was eating alongside his girlfriend and a small child. But the cold-blooded part about it, other than the child being directly next to him, is the fact that as the hitman walked into the restaurant, I wouldn't even describe him as inconspicuous. He walked in clearly.
Bro, that's why you don't go to no Publix. But I don't like open public areas like this. That's too open. Like, people walk by and see you could be the biggest op of all time. Walk by and see you. The biggest Hall of Fame op, shorty. He coming to catch straight buckets and ones putting points on that board and hitting three-pointers, shorty. And here he go, popping up while you eating with the kid and the mom. And look at him. You can tell how he walking. He coming for straight vengeance, shorty. He coming for straight smoke, vengeance, and destruction. Let's start there.
Walked into the restaurant. I wouldn't even describe him as inconspicuous. He walked in clearly looking like he was on a mission, and by the time he was standing in front of Rafael, the man still hadn't even lifted his head from the plate, completely unaware of what was about to happen. And the woman beside him didn't scream or even barely change the expression on her face, while in the mainland United States.
Yo. Back door, shorty. Here we go. Here we go, man. Back door, shorty. Here we go again. Again, chat. This back door business they gotta get these ladies, man. Y'all gotta get these ladies up out of here. Slime them out. Slime them out, shorty. Slime them out, shorty. Cause, bro, there's no way these females is getting away with a back door. Forget jail. Forget jail. Slime them out, shorty. Let's start there.
Him didn't scream or even barely change the expression on her face, while in the mainland
she ain't make no noise to warn or nothing. Back door, shorty. Let's start there.
United States, people will see this and assume that she must have set him up, but I doubt it, especially if the child was also hers. Likely, she is just far too desensitized to violence, being an adult that likely lived her entire life in Puerto Rico. She simply moves out of the way, already knowing that her date is long gone, and likely not even being completely surprised by such a thing taking place. Now, according to the police,
back door, shorty. I don't care what nobody say. That's back door. I don't know what he talking about. Back door, shorty. Watch that back door. Can't get snake bodies, baddies. Let's start there.
Even being completely surprised by such a thing taking place. Now, according to the police, Rafael had a history of involvement in the criminal underworld on the island, and he was just one of 6 murders that took place from that Saturday to Sunday night. A native of Caguas, a little ways away from Salinas.
6 people from that Saturday to Sunday night, that's 2. Yo, they came to stand on business, didn't they?
It's unclear why Rafael felt so comfortable in this area, and why despite his history, he was not paying attention to his surroundings. But on to the rapper and his accomplice, the crooked cop. C. Dobleta, a man also known in Puerto Rico as the White Devil, who despite his YouTube channel only being a year old, he's managed to put together over 170 million total views on his music videos. But clearly, with a name like the White Devil, music is not the only thing he was known for on the island. On March 29, 2024, Officer Eliza Ramos, a 12-year veteran of the police force, had just finished his shift and was headed home when he spotted 3 motorcycles and an ATV firing at a vehicle that was passing by. Despite his shift being over, he was still a law enforcement officer, so he called for backup and followed the group into Sabana Abajo, a housing project in Carolina, an area just up.
He followed them? There's no way he followed them, bro. You just put your life in there to follow him. Now let's see what business, what they give to them, this man, bro. Let's see what business they hand to this man, shorty. From trying to Captain Savo. You is Captain Savo is crazy, bro. You is on break. I mean, you're not working today. You're not working. Being Captain Savo was crazy. Let's see if he loses his life trying to be Captain Savo.
Outside of San Juan. But unfortunately for Officer Ramos, he was shot and killed soon after entering the complex, and the assailants even...
My point exactly. You lost your life because you off work wanting to still be at work. You trying to do something you ain't getting paid for. It's crazy. Should have minded your business. You ain't use a Off duty, dude. You should have minded your business. Now you ain't got no more business to mind, sir. You ain't got no more business to mind, shorty. Cause you off work and you think you could still, bro. Who you think you is, bro? You probably ain't had no. Even if you did have your police stuff on, they still would have flared you up in that joint, shorty. The police in this joint for what? Tearing him up in this joint, shorty. Let's start there.
Even stole the service weapon off of his body. Months later, the FBI, Carolina Police Department, and the ATF will launch a major raid and arrest 56 gang members, including Cito Bleta, and also 47-year-old Officer Fernando Torres, who is accused of giving information to drug traffickers. And although he had been recommended for expulsion from the force, likely due to some suspicion of his involvement with gangs, he remained and was likely a factor in how comfortable the gang was in murdering a lone officer and stealing his gun, rather than just running away. And due to this being a federal case, many of them, including Cito Bleta, possibly face the death penalty. It's unfortunate when an officer like Ramos, someone willing to go above and beyond the call of duty for the good of the public, someone needed in the police force of such a dangerous area, is killed and even undermined by the fact that you have other officers working alongside the very men that killed him. Puerto Rico has always been known for its high murder rate.
Yeah, that is crazy, but I ain't go back to you. That is crazy, bro. For the police to be part of the situation is crazy.
But it appears that the FBI and local authorities have had enough, with the FBI regularly intervening on the island, and this has actually yielded some results, with the homicide rate steadily dropping since 2021, which was a very dangerous year for many cities in the US. Now, El Burro, who was also accused of dismembering rivals and dumping their remains in ravines, was eventually caught along with much of his organization just months before the indictment against Cito Bleta and the La Familia Alliance. And while the Devils of Llorens are likely still active, many members of Los Viros, El Burro's main rivals, have been arrested. Puerto Rico.
I ain't gonna lie, chat. Them essays getting active, bro. Them essays is getting active out there, shorty.
Named by Columbus for St. John the Baptist, or the man credited with performing the baptism of Jesus in the Jordan River, was also known by his native Taino people as Boriquén, which most likely means land of our valiant Lord. This is also why many Puerto Ricans refer to themselves as Boricua. Also going by the name, the Land of Enchantment, it's hard not to see why. But unfortunately, since the US refuses to make it a state, despite most of its residents supporting the idea, Puerto Rico misses out on much of the positive aspects of statehood. It receives lower Social Security for its retirees and Medicare, despite being more populous than many US states, and the territory also can't be bailed out by the federal government like other states, as being a territory, it cannot file for bankruptcy. US citizens in Puerto Rico also cannot vote for representatives or senators, and all of this plays a role when the island needs help, receiving little from the federal government after suffering back-to-back hurricanes only 2 weeks apart in 2017, which knocked out 95% of all cell service, 43% of wastewater treatment, 97% of all roads were blocked off, and nearly 30% of all healthcare facilities were damaged. President Trump at the time even insisted that FEMA and first responders spent too much time in Puerto Rico in the aftermath. But it's not his fault. The US has been mistreating the island since long before President Trump was even born. Here's a horrifying image of the power grid in Puerto Rico before and after the storms. Since 1898, the island has essentially been a third world colony of a first world nation. When I visited San Juan as a tourist, I was dining at an outdoor restaurant, watching the festival take place in the streets thinking, man, this has to be the most beautiful place I've ever visited in my entire life. Then, to snap me back to reality, a homeless man approached us with a large infected mass growing on his arm, begging us to help him. I was only 10 at the time and obviously unable to help, but I'll never be able to forget the contrast of a suffering man on the beautiful island. And almost 10 years later, I find myself wondering if he's even still alive. May God bless Puerto Rico, La Isla del Encanto. Thank you for watching.
Like my vid up, chat.